All right, everybody, you know what time it is. It's FranchisOR Bust, the franchise show that rocks the world, especially the world of people who care about franchising. And we've got somebody here today that's going to help us to learn a lot more about his experience in the world of franchising and being a franchisor and the important things that we can understand about how he's paved a road to success. So joining us today is Andy Fuller. He's the CEO and the founder of Mosquito Hunters. And you may think, well, is that all they do? Just mosquitoes? I don't think so. It's a big component, but we're going to learn even more about everything that Mosquito Hunters provides, everything about the brand, et cetera. So Andy, it's awesome to have you on with Katie and I. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely. Well, I think the best place to start is let's learn about you. When did Mosquito Hunters get going? How did you craft the vision, and what made you decide to get into franchising?
I started Mosquito Hunters in very late 2013, like December of 2013. Our first season locally was here in the Chicago suburbs in 2014. And I got into this because I wanted to get out of corporate America. I chose mosquito control because it was an emerging space. There was opportunity to innovate and differentiate other than just trying to come up with the lowest price. It was a space where it was in-home services, but there was also recurring revenue. And it was a great time to get into the business because there was very, very limited competition. And there's really no substitute in business to having limited competition. It was kind of business where I could build up a labor force who could learn enough to be dangerous within a reasonably short period of time, which meant that I had a deep pool that I could pull from. I could hire for character and then train on skills and not have to be reliant on really highly skilled, intensively trained type trade like some of the others that I maybe considered like HVAC or plumbing or something like that. This is a home service where most of our employees come in with no home services experience or pest control experience, and started franchising officially in 2016, but started doing my homework really from the get-go in 2014. And then, yeah, that was when we started franchising. We've been doing it for really 7 years now. We're up to about 130 locations across the country. It's been an amazing ride to this point, and we're just scratching the surface.
You mentioned kind of two key components there. One, you saw an opportunity for a low level of competition in a where you had high demand for the service itself, which is great. We also talked about being able to get in and kind of innovate and provide, put your own spin, your own take on, the pest control space and mosquito in particular. What were some of those early thoughts of like innovation, and how do you feel like that kind of set the culture and set the tone for Mosquito Hunters as you went forward?
Well, it's not novel now, but we were one of the first companies that I knew of that was texting customers the day before we were coming out and texting customers the day of. We still to this day will call the customer the day before, call the customer the day after, and really emphasize communication. And so since the beginning, one of our core values has been when in doubt, over communicate, still is to this day. Obviously, core values shouldn't really change. But when in doubt, over communicate, which means we've really never had a customer complain about us communicating too much with them. Whenever a customer complains, it's because normally that supplier, that vendor has under communicated. It's very hard in just the human experience for us to just communicate where one party says what they're thinking and the other party just gets it. They just take it in and say, I understand exactly what you mean. Normally, we miscommunicate. And normally when we miscommunicate, it's because we've erred on the side of under communicating. Either the person who is delivering the message wasn't thorough enough, wasn't articulate enough, or the person who's listening really wasn't listening that intently, or maybe a combination of both. And so that's why the core value has been when in doubt, over communicate. So through many different modes of communication, phone, email, text, we're going to make sure that our customers know what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's also even things like leave behind materials that we leave at the job. We explain the work that we were done. that work that we had done. And so like the service that we provide, it's not like getting the house painted or, getting new windows done or something like that. There's nothing tangible about it at all. It's invisible. So if you're a customer and let's say you were at the office, well, Mosquito Hunters was at your home to perform the treatment. Other than maybe what you saw in your Ring doorbell, you have no idea that we were even there. And you certainly don't see any material difference, in your yard. You don't see it with your eyes. You should feel it later when you're out there in your yard. But otherwise, like there's nothing tangible that represents the work that was done. So that was something that we really wanted to do early on, is optimize the perceived value in the mind's eye of the customer by having really high quality, tangible items that we leave behind. Things like, a real nice envelope, a real thick leave behind. We have a whole suite of different cards. I know this isn't really great for a podcast, but I'll just give you an idea. These are some of the things that we leave behind, every single time after a treatment. It's almost like a newsletter, but not that, we need our customers or expect our customers to be experts in our field, but just understand why we're doing what we're doing and what we focused on with this treatment, and try and make it fun, make it approachable. I was a Sesame Street kid growing up, so I just loved the idea of like making learning kind of fun. And like some customers kind of like that. Some maybe don't care, but at least I want to at least communicate as best as I can. We want to communicate as best as we can. And if the customer is interested in learning about, why we're doing the service and what we did on today's service, they certainly have an opportunity to learn about that. I think these sorts of things have always differentiated us relative to our competition. The service in and of itself is not overly complex. There is a low barrier to entry. Our opportunity to differentiate is the experience with the customer, and we focus on experience because that's such a vague word. What experience means to us is we're just going to communicate extremely well with you. If it means nothing to you, if you want to just throw those things away, that's fine. But for those customers who want to know, what we're doing and why, we're going to provide that information.
I think too that's got to lend itself well to retaining customers, and having those customers be recurring customers for your brand. And I know for franchise systems and for potential franchisees, that's one of the things that can be very attractive is getting into a business where if you do support your customer in an excellent way, you can expect that customer to stay with you. Have you found that because of the emphasis on that excellent communication that you guys have been able to, show some good value to the franchisees in terms of getting them to have recurring revenue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been the idea. We've been very intentional about that. Another core value is we're not in the mosquito business. We're in the loyalty business. So it's not about seeing how many mosquitoes we can come out and kill, on the visit. It's how can we earn the customer's loyalty? So we earn the customer's loyalty by providing value to them, period, in whatever way that we can. And I've even said, we've said this for years, imagine some sort of like biblical plague or something that comes through, which actually doesn't seem unreasonable after, everything we've been through over the past few years. But let's just say whatever, magic thing happens and you wake up one day and there's no mosquitoes. And what would happen to us as a business? We're mosquito hunters. Would we be able to survive? Would we be able to operate? We want to be in a position where our customers are calling us and saying, look, I don't have mosquito problems anymore, but is there anything else that you do? Because I just really like working with you. We've had many, many times customers say to us, this is the best customer service I've ever experienced. And once you hear that once from a customer, that's like a drug, and you realize like you've cracked some secret code, which really isn't that hard to do as long as you're intentional and methodical about it. But once you've provided excellent customer service that's far above the average level of service that someone receives, you've earned that loyalty. And so the trick is providing that same level of service that you can provide when you're a brand new business owner with a couple dozen customers. Provide that same level of service at scale when you've got 500, 1,000, couple thousand different customers. And so, another way we do that, I was just looking through this here. We have a card that every single technician has. It's like a baseball card.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna say that looks a lot like a 1989 Topps, baseball card.
Yes. You've got my number. Like that was the inspiration when we were building these things out. But on the back, it's got some information about the technician,
Yeah.
so you can build that relationship a little bit more at scale. If you're home, ideally the technician's having that conversation with you. But if you're not home, you can read about that technician. It puts the name, it puts a face on the service. It reminds people that we're local people. We're right here in your community. We care about doing a good job. We care about protecting the community by reducing exposure to the deadliest animal on the planet. It's also got the QR code. So someone could say, if you're pleased with the service you received, it would mean the world to me if you'd scan this QR code and leave us a Google review. And I'll get a boss. My boss will give me a tip if you leave that review. So everybody kind of wins when it happens. But that actually goes a long way to build the relationship as well at scale, when the owner can't necessarily call the local customer every single day. Say, how was the service today? Did you like it? Is it good? There's ways that you can educate the team and build that sort of loyalty within the team so that they care to the same extent that you do.
Now, I know Katie was more of a fan of the Donruss and the Fleer baseball cards, but that's just different preferences. I recognize the tops, like the likeness there.
That's true. I didn't want to be rude and mention it. So
Right. And talk to us a little bit then. I would assume on the loyalty side, the communication and core value side, those things are also relatable to probably the way that you set yourself up as a franchisor to your franchisees as well. Being available to them, coaching them, et cetera, et cetera. And I know as a founder, a lot of times it can be really attractive to potential franchisees to join an emerging brand when they've got the founder still there who, has all the passion, all the knowledge, is really driving the ship. So talk a little bit about kind of just the franchisor franchisee dynamic at Mosquito Hunters and what things you've seen, kind of work really well as you were developing through, maybe on, like you said, on some of the communication side, and this maybe some things that you've learned, given that obviously this wasn't your background when you got it going.
That's a great question. For us, it's really important to understand the nature of the franchise relationship because it's unlike anything else that exists in business. It's certainly not a customer-vendor relationship. It's certainly not an employee-employer relationship. It's a franchisee-franchisor relationship. And it has its own name because it's its own thing. And I've never seen anything else like it anywhere else in business. The closest analogy that we've come up with is the Sherpa. If you were to decide to climb Mount Everest a month from now, you would probably hire a Sherpa to do it. Hopefully you will have trained a lot and you're in optimal shape to do that. But you'll hire that Sherpa because the Sherpa's been up and down that mountain before. Maybe you know plenty of things that the Sherpa doesn't know, but the Sherpa knows how to get up and down that mountain. And so that's why you work with that Sherpa. And the Sherpa goes up that mountain with you and they say, well, we've gone up here before. Don't go that way because that way is really icy and that's slippery. Don't go that way because there's, snakes or something. Don't go that way because that way is too steep and there's a high likelihood we're going to fall off. If we go this way, I can't guarantee it, but if we go this way, I know that we have the highest likelihood of reaching the top of the mountain. But all the while, you are going alongside the Sherpa. The Sherpa is not carrying you. You're carrying yourself with your own two legs. You're putting in the work. You've got your own backpack. You've got your own stuff that you need to carry. So you're doing the work. You're just doing it alongside somebody who has some more experience going up that mountain. And then when and if you get to the top of that mountain, you look down and you can have all the pride in the world because you know you did it yourself. You did it with your own two legs. To me, that's what franchising is.
I've never heard that, and that is actually an excellent way to describe it. Because it's it is unique from the standpoint of folks they're entrepreneurs, franchisees are, but not really, right? It's like they want to say, this is my business, I'm in charge of it, I'm running it, and they are. But it's having that support system to say, who else is succeeding, right? Sometimes it's not the franchisor they go to, but their peers to say who's succeeding, who's doing this, who's doing that. But the blueprint, the outline for success is there at the franchisor level and communicated clearly.
I'd say it's been a lesson for me exactly how that relationship works over time. I think when I first got started with this, I went to enough conferences and I talked to enough established franchisors that, I knew not to treat the franchisee like a customer, because that's just, a toxic formula. You should never treat the franchisee like a customer. If the franchisee thinks they're the customer, like, you're kind of screwed. You're both screwed. Um, I treated the franchisee like a business partner from very early on, because that felt good and that felt right. But I actually came to learn that that's really not the right approach either. Because if the franchisee wanted a business partner, they would have just started a business and brought on a business partner. A franchisee becomes a franchisee because they want the franchisor. They want that Sherpa to tell them, don't go that way. And so there's a certain sort of trust that needs to happen that's different, where it's not about necessarily just saying, here's the playbook, use it as you will. It's saying, here's the playbook, here's what we need to do this week, and I'm gonna coach you. I'm gonna hold you accountable, because that's what you're paying me for. You're paying me a royalty. I'm holding you accountable so that way you'll do the work that you need to do, so that way you can get the results that you want. So the other analogy that I like, other than the Sherpa one, is the personal trainer, because a lot of times it feels like that in franchising too. If anybody who's ever hired a personal trainer, you do it because you want somebody to kick your butt. You do it, because you want somebody to call you on your BS and to make you get out of your own way and do the work that is a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but it's good for you. And a good franchisor is willing to do that and have those uncomfortable conversations with a franchisee. And so for the trainer, it's like, okay, lift these weights at these frequencies, change your posture a little bit, change it like that. Okay, now go on the treadmill, go at this speed. Okay, you can go a little faster than that, go faster. Okay, now raise the incline. Take this stuff out of your diet, put these other things in your diet, do this work, and then you can expect these kinds of results, but it's the results that you want. So for some people, it's, I want to be able to bench press a car. For some people, it's, I want to look amazing in a bathing suit. Like, whatever it is, tell us what your goals are, and we're going to help you achieve those goals. But there is no easy way to do it. It's going to be the hard way, but you're going to do it the hard way with somebody who's on your team. But it doesn't work this way in personal training. What if there were a personal trainer who only got paid if you got those results? That's what it's like in franchising, is we lose money every single time we award a franchise. Every single time someone comes out, we're in the hole. The only way it becomes worthwhile for us is every franchisee needs to achieve results. And if they don't, it's not that it doesn't just work for the franchisee, it doesn't work for us. So we're very inclined and incentivized to see that a business owner who joins the system sees the results they want.
That's one of the common misconceptions about franchising, is that this is already a ready-made model. I could just buy into it, and then I don't really have to do anything, or it sort of just works on its own. But no, franchisees really have to, just like you say, you're pushing them, you're guiding them, you're giving them the tools, but they've got to be working. They've got to really get in there and work hard. Are you? Yeah. Do you guys set up? Do you have a lot of multi-unit owners, or how does it work with kind of your territories, et cetera? Like, for when you bring on a new location, is that cover like a certain DMA, or are you looking more now that you're starting to kind of go from startup emerging phase to a little bit more mature emerging phase? Are you looking more and more for some like multi-unit owners?
We sometimes we'll do multi-unit. Sometimes we'll do 2 units. Sometimes we'll do 3 units with a single owner. But it doesn't really work well for us or for the franchisee, when we do that. And so, we would rather have a new owner focus on going deep within their territory and focus on route density, because every single stakeholder in the equation wins when you have better route density. You have a customer who's getting service faster, so they're happier. Technicians being paid piecework are making more money per day with less windshield time. So if they're making more money per day, they're making more money per hour. As the business owner, your vehicles have less windshield time, so you're not having the same wear and tear. So it's reducing your expense, it's reducing your fuel. And you're generating more revenue per day with a better profit margin. So literally every single stakeholder wins. Selfishly, as the franchisor, we're winning too, because if you're generating more revenue per day, you're generating more royalty revenue. So like literally that's 4 different parties that I just named right there that are all winning: the employee, the customer, the franchise owner, and the franchisor. So for those reasons, like we actually have really very generous territories. They're based on zip codes. They are exclusive. So no other Mosquito Hunters franchisee goes in there. Those are yours, but you need to dominate each and every one of those zips that are within your territory. And so our model is built to that end.
Yeah. Well, that's good to, it's good for any potential franchisee or someone interested, to know kind of how that works for you guys. And I would imagine too, making sure the franchisees are set up for success with regard to helping them understand that, yeah, I'm sure there's some, I'm sure there's some advertising, some marketing that, is done at like a corporate level, et cetera. But them being sure, like you say, having that excellent communication, promoting themselves via good customer service. But is there any other like promotional tactics or things that the franchisees are sort of responsible for really driving their business?
Yes. Yeah. So to your point, we do have centralized media. And so we manage the marketing on our franchisees' behalf, which is something that's very special. And I haven't really seen it elsewhere in franchising. So we work with top 25 nationally ranked agencies who otherwise wouldn't be giving us the time of day, if we were going to them independently, but we work with best in class, in those areas. But separate from that, what a franchisee needs to handle locally is execution of what we call ground game. So ground game is door hangers, it's lawn signs, it's getting Google reviews, it's having somebody on your team put on our Gunther mascot head, standing at busy intersections during rush hour and getting horn honks. This is the nitty gritty, unglamorous, unsexy kind of marketing that makes the phones ring and makes people go to our website and makes the leads come in. And they really drive down our overall customer acquisition cost per franchisee. So we have a really strict plan on how many door hangers you should be distributing within what we call our power window, which is the 10 weeks in the year where you're going to generate the most of your revenue, focusing on the mosquito side. So you need to get out 10,000 door hangers. You need to get out 500 lawn signs. You need to get at least 50 Google reviews. You need to be spending at least 20 hours at busy intersections as Gunther, getting horn honks. And when I say you, I mean your business. I don't think it should ever be just the owner who's doing all this work at all. Like we want owners who want to build big businesses, who want to build empires. You should have a team who's doing this. But if you are paying a team or relying on family or friends to do this work on your behalf, then like I say, you're significantly going to be reducing your customer acquisition cost overall, which is going to help you get to cash flow positivity faster and be on your way to building that empire.
Yeah. And, as someone who has a little bit of experience in the world of doing advertising for franchise brands, I would say that's an excellent message, because oftentimes a franchisee can say, oh, well, great, the franchisor is kind of handling paid media, or they're handling, some organic driving of, of leads. But if they're not doing that boots on the ground, and they're not still kind of taking that upon themselves to really hustle and bring in business, it can sometimes be to their detriment.
I totally agree. And I would say, whoever is listening to this, the listeners, if you are a franchisee of another concept, my advice would be to challenge your franchisor to challenge you. Go back to that personal trainer idea. If you really want to make this business work for you, you've got to have somebody in your corner who's pushing you to execute those really low cost local tactics, because it's going to provide lift to all of the glamorous marketing. It's going to make your pay-per-click more efficient. It's going to make your social media marketing that much more efficient, because you're going to create this wall of sound among your local community where they say, man, Mosquito Hunters, or whatever it is, whatever your company is. I see you guys everywhere. I see you guys are everywhere. So it's going to build that trust within the community that much faster, which is also going to make it easier to convert a lead into a customer.
For sure. Creating or category demand is something that's not created by the business owner, but brand demand is. And so, brand demand, you get the cross section of high category demand and then high brand demand. That's when marketing, if you will, really starts to pay off in that scenario. Well, cool. Well, Andy, tell us a little bit about, kind of where the future goes from here. And, you've been doing this for a good little bit, but I know with the addition of partnering with Happiness Brands and Happy Nest Brands, I'm saying it correctly.
Right.
And yeah, and so I know that's probably bolstered up some good opportunities for for future growth. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it means that we get to work with other brands in the home services space who are doing similar work that we're doing, albeit with like a different widget, but what I love is I get to work with other entrepreneurs, other people who are sort of strange birds like me who just really get off on trying to grow a business and who like starting and building things from nothing. And it's like fun. So that means for us, we get to copy off of each other's homework all the time. We have one thing that works well. We get to share that across the entire system. So I'll give you like an example. EcoMaids is one of our sibling brands. And it was a problem that Mosquito Hunters was dealing with for almost a year, where we have franchisees saying, this customer left me a review. They scanned this QR code right in front of me. I watched them type in their phone the review. They gave me a 5-star review. They hit submit. They posted. It happened. Like I saw it happen with my own eyes, and it didn't show up on Google. And for months and months and months, we were trying to get this resolved with Google. Dealing with Google is like dealing with the DMV. Like they just don't, there's no one to get a hold of. There's no one who really cares to return your call or return your email or something like that. It's like a black box. It's very frustrating.
Yep.
Well, something changed one day, and Google created some new department where they had some people in place that were actually handling requests for missing reviews, these ghost reviews. And one of the franchises within EcoMaids figured this out, and they talked to their coach, and their coach helped them overcome this and put those tickets through. As soon as their coach had this experience, the coach raised the alarm and told everybody within Happy Nest about this. And so literally within hours of this happening, we were able to get the word out to all of our franchisees, and all of our franchisees were able to get reviews to post that had been missing for months and months and months. Literally within a day, we got hundreds of reviews to post online. And this is just one example of just all the benefits that we get from having this collective, like the Avengers of franchising. One franchisee for one particular brand figures out a solution, and we share it across the board. And this sort of thing happens dozens of times every month.
Awesome. Fantastic. And you brought up the Avengers. I know Katie's really excited about talking about her favorite Avenger, but we'll table that for another time. Andy, any yeah, right. This is Avengers and trading cards is maybe like that really should be the podcast I'm hosting. That would be that'd be one I could talk about a lot. For sure. Well, Andy, we really appreciate you being on. It's so exciting to hear about what you've been able to accomplish with Mosquito Hunters, starting it from scratch, building it now to having over 130 locations, going strong, focusing heavily on your customer support, your customer communication, service that really separates you from your competition. So thank you so much. Is there anything else we need to know about you?
I'd just say we do a lot more than mosquito control. We didn't quite get into that yet. So I just want to say, mosquito control is a great foot in the door for our customers. But where we really boost our profitability is by offering our existing customers who know us, like us, and trust us additional services. So that's spider control, ant control, flea control, tick control, rodent control. Again, all the sexy, unglamorous stuff is where the riches are. And so what that means for a franchise owner is that you can be generating revenue 12 months out of the year. So mosquito control is kind of our flagship, service, because it's our easiest foot in the door. It's a really easy value proposition. It's right there in our name. But we want to work with owners who want to build big businesses. So if you're interested in a business where you generate revenue 12 months out of the year, Mosquito Hunters is a brand worth looking at.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much. We appreciate you. And as always, FranchisOR Bust is brought to you by who, Katie?
StackAdapt.
That's right. StackAdapt, the world leading provider of programmatic advertising in the franchise space. Check them out at stackadapt.com if you're interested in using their services, or always feel free to reach out to your friendly neighborhood LSM marketing agency and talk to me, and I'll get you in touch with Stack Adapt, and we'll see what we can do with them. So thank you to Stack Adapt. Thank you to Andy. We appreciate everybody. Katie and I will see you on the next Franchise or Bust.